Hey everybody, how's everybody doing out there in VC land? This bonus episode sponsored by coffee. Um, I went and told some friends earlier today, this being the 16th of August, 2015, that I was going to try to attempt to do two episodes today. One was my regular Psycho Platter show. This is still going to be a Psycho Platter show. This is technically going to be episode 107, but I'm jokingly calling it the bonus Elvis episode. um, I couldn't let this day go by without talking about him a little bit anyway. Um, the thing is that you're going to have to forgive me. I'm sorry. This is one of those episodes that I really did not get to prepare very much, so it's going to be mostly me going do. I do have one or two things I do want to show you, but let me get into the story here, okay? When I found out that Elvis died, today in 1977. I remember I was from, I grew up, like I said, in northwest suburbs of Chicago, and like any other 10-year-old kid, was listening to WLS Chicago, and they broke in like I want to say it was like mid-afternoon, maybe almost late afternoon that day that Elvis Presley passed away at the age of 42, and then they literally played Elvis music, I want to say, for the rest of the day. I'm not kidding. I was told that they dug up every Elvis record they had in their WLS library and literally, just did that. Which, I mean, it's sad that you got to do that when somebody's dying or dead, but, it just, it was just really cool to hear all that music again. Now, saying that though, I ended up starting my appreciation for Elvis the year before in 1976. It was kind of weird at that time frame. Uh, Personal vacation memory here. My mom and dad, my dad came into my life uh, in 75. I had a stepdad, but he's my dad. You get what I'm saying. And so for our summer vacation in 76, we ended up going up to the Wisconsin Dells. The Wisconsin Dells in 1976 wasn't as much of a tourist trap as it is now in 2015. But I remember a couple weird memories that stick in my mind. Number one was, like I said, we had this cabin we rented somewhere. Secondly, I remember that every night, we pretty much had food either at the bar slash restaurant. That was when Tombstone Pizzas didn't go national yet. It was just in the Wisconsin bar system, and I loved that stuff. That was great. And on the jukebox, and I would go off, and I'm not kidding you, I plunked whatever it was back in 1976 money. I heard every Elvis tune that was on that jukebox. My parents looked at me kind of weird. Even my mother. She's like, I don't get it. She says, what fascination do you have of this? I mean, because Elvis was her thing. Now, what I mean by that is, she grew up in that era, okay? She was born in 45. So it would fit more towards her than me. And I'm just like, well, you know what? I can't explain it. It just sounds good. Now, of course, from that simple memory almost 40 years ago to now, that's still kind of how I feel. Elvis and his music, it just sounds good. It sounds, especially his 50s stuff. Oh man, his 50s stuff was rocking. It was natural. To me, it was natural. The Sun stuff would be about your most unfiltered, natural material you had. Those 5 singles. Now, once he got signed to RCA and did the Colonel Parker thing, it diluted it just a little bit, right? Because he went national. He wasn't Memphis's own anymore, right? So you figure, okay, he does the TV show appearances. Everybody is going off and blaming him for being, oh, you're corrupting the youth of America, blah blah blah, the whole shake swivel thing. No, I'm not doing that for you, and all that other stuff. It was scandalous. You know what? Compared to 2015, that was tame. I'd rather have that. If that was as top as the Scandalous was, I'd rather have more of that than what's going on now with everybody showing their bare asses. Seriously. I'm not kidding here. I would rather have things were a hell of a lot simpler back in the 50s, it seemed. And of course, I have to take everyone else's word for it since I didn't come into the world to 67. So, what I'm saying is that Elvis dies, you know, I'm sad. I didn't cry about it because I wasn't emotionally attached yet. But when Skip, remember from a few episodes ago, I told you about Full Circle Records, when he opened up in '79, I started buying every Elvis and Beatles that I could find. I was already tuned into this stuff already. It was already deep in my musical psyche. So I'll show you the two things, and then I want to tell you a record story. How about that? Does that sound good? I picked this up in Chicagoland at the Woodstock Library book room downstairs. Yeah, they got some decent stuff down there. This was originally pressed in 1976 in England, though. This is called the Illustrated Elvis. This is the front. This is the back. And back then the price was $4.95. But remember, I said 1976. This was the year before he died. I like this picture of him. And what it says, of course, is I was a lonely teenage bronking buck with a pink carnation in a pickup truck, which is, of course, the lyric from American Pie, Don McLean. Let me see if I can get you another one here. I like this picture, sort of. That one there. And it says his key is precise, intuitive knowledge of who he is and what he's projecting on stage. His consistency is absolute. Quote from Morgan Ames, High Fidelity. I love that movie. I'll show you one more. What's a good picture here? You know what? We'll go off and let's see. I'll give you this one. Hang on a second. I kind of like this one too. This one's 70s with the guitar. I do have, I've since then though I've had a lot of Elvis records. Even up to last week, I find Elvis records. A lot of the times they're butchered. I do find a lot though in decent shape. The last ones I picked up a month ago at a Goodwill here in town. Two EPs. One of them was the Peace in the Valley EP, and then the other one was, I think, the very first Elvis EP. It's either Elvis is Back or Elvis Volume 1. It's one of those two, and I was really happy to get them in at least BG Plus shape. Buck a piece. I'm like, oh man. So really, really fun on that. This one here, like I said, this is what I have to apologize about. I could not get to all my Elvis stuff to be able to show you. So I at least pulled one thing out of here, that this is in great shape. This is from the early 70s, of course. Worldwide 50 Gold Award Hits Volume 1. Beautiful box set. This pretty much, like I said, has got everything from Heartbreak Hotel to Kentucky Rain. Let me see if I can pull something out of here to show you. Of course, it's all RCA. Oh boy, can I get into that? I might have to hold off on that. Let me see. I don't want to bust this, but I found this for $1, like about 4 or 5 years ago. I snagged this baby. This thing was fantastic. That was at the Salvation Army. I remember that. So the thing is that I'll give you the biggest Elvis find, the Elvis record find, at least in my 35-year existence. If I haven't told this story to you, beautiful. If I have told you this story, I apologize, and you could just fast forward it if you like. This story would have been about 10 years ago, around 2004. No, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. No, this would have been about 2002, because I was just getting ready to start the divorce. I was in a different place to live. And I was working at Walmart at the time up north, and one of my coworkers came up to me and she said, "Hey, Paul, I heard you collect records." And I said, "You're right, I do, ma'am." And she goes off and says to me, "You know what? Would you take these all off my hands? They're my dead husband's record collection, and I have no use for them." And I'm sitting here and I'm like, the lady didn't want any money. I was, I was going to give her money. No, she said no. She just wanted them out of her house. I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine. I'll be there in a few days, which is exactly what happened. All the boxes were in the garage. Oh boy, yeah, you know what that can do, right? There was about 10 boxes. I go pick up the one box, almost broke my back. I said, "What in the?" And I opened it up. Every box was 78. Every box. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, oh boy. And I had a Jeep Cherokee. So I had to do 2 trips. It took me 2 weeks to go through that collection because I was busy working, and doing other things. 2 weeks it took to go through that in the it started out, this collection was like from the early 20s and stopped at about 1956. And I'm going, okay. The best cream of the crop of the stuff I picked up a lot of Hank Sr. and Luke the Drifter on MGM. I found a bunch of those. I found a handful of Bill Haley on Essex, and I found 2 versions of Rock Around the Clock, 2 different label variations, kind of weird. I want to say I think I even found a Ricky Nelson or 2, but then I hit pay dirt right in the middle of all of it. Stares back, a Elvis on Sun, and I'm like, what? Now, it was the last record. It was the last single that he did, the 5th one. The first 4 are the toughest to get because they were more regional. Your 5th Son went more national. So, but even, they're all still worth a bunch. But I couldn't believe it. It took me 23 years to find that. And I hung on to that thing for a few months. I wish I had a picture of me with that record. I still do, just to prove that I had it. And it was in decent shape. I would say probably it would have been VG, maybe a VG minus, okay, roughly. I know it was playable. I know that much. It was not scratched to holy hell and all that. And about 7 other RCA Elvises. And I had bills to pay. I was starting to have, I moved into a new place, et cetera, et cetera. And I ended up selling all of it for, I think at that time, to an Elvis collector. I treated her fairly. And I want to say it was about $500 total for all the Elvis records. Now, I know you probably are saying, you're kicking yourself, Paul, but you know what? eBay, was that even around in 2002? I don't know. And I needed the money. I really do. You got to survive. This stuff is just plastic and shellac. I can live without it. So that was the coolest Elvis story for me. When I can find, I have an unreleased picture from '74 that I want to show you guys soon. But until then, guys, I appreciate you listening to this. Would you do me a favor? Post in the comments what your favorite Elvis record is, or your favorite Elvis song, or give me an Elvis memory. Concert, film, did you meet him in person? Something. Give me an Elvis memory. That'd be beautiful, guys. You know what? The king of rock and roll will always be around. I honestly think that. At least in our hearts, right? Take care. God bless. Rock on. See you next episode.